You ever see a house start lying to you? Mine did. It started with the light in the upstairs hallway. Flickered once, twice, then stopped turning on altogether. My wife said we needed to change the bulb. I knew better. I knew it was a sign. See, houses don't break without a reason. Just like people. Her name was Dana. Mine's Thomas. We'd been married 13 years. Solid years. Or so I thought. You know how people say, you just know when something's wrong? I knew. But not because of perfume I didn't recognize or mysterious late-night texts, though those came later. No, I knew because of the box. It was a medium-sized Amazon box sitting on our porch one Tuesday morning, addressed not to her or to me, but to someone named Marigold. Now I don't know who orders under an alias, but Dana did. And I don't mean an innocent little online handle. I mean she had a full alternate identity stashed in our shared Amazon account, with her own wish lists, order history, and even a default shipping address, an apartment downtown I'd never heard of. So, like any sane, logical husband with a hunch and a laptop, I did what any red-blooded man does at 2 a.m. when the truth is calling like a freight train. I clicked forgot password. The recovery email? Not hers. The name on the account profile? Marigold Lane. And that's when I started keeping a journal. Not out of heartbreak. No, sir. I kept it like a detective logs evidence. Because something told me this wasn't going to end with tears. It was going to end with a door closing. Mine. That week, I played dumb. Smiled. Kissed her forehead. Told her she looked tired and needed a break. She took one. Just a weekend at the cabin with the girls, she said. I nodded. Sounds nice. I replied, already knowing her girls were 3 different Instagram handles she kept using to tag herself in fake stories. Now here's where the game changed. Before she left, I planted an AirTag in her trunk. Cheap. Quiet. Legal. If you're creative with your interpretation of the terms of service. The little dot didn't head north to the cabin. It stopped in the city. Downtown. Apartment 3B. I didn't go there. Not yet. Instead, I sent a package. Just a little something from Thomas, addressed to Marigold Lane, apartment 3B. Inside, a copy of our wedding photo, neatly framed, with a sticky note across my face that read, "Smile pretty. Someone's watching." She came home Sunday night looking relaxed. Happy, like a woman who'd just had a great weekend. But that happiness flickered, just like the upstairs light, when she opened the kitchen drawer and found her car keys missing. "You seen my keys?" she asked. I handed them to her. "Found them in the mailbox." "Weird, right?" She blinked, paused, smiled. "That is weird." And that was when I knew we were officially at war. So here's what happens when you address a package to your wife's alter ego and she opens it in your shared kitchen. She doesn't scream. She doesn't confess. She smiles. The kind of smile you'd expect from a poker player sitting on a full house. "You're being paranoid, Thomas," she said, brushing past me. "You always overthink everything." I didn't argue. I just held her gaze and said, "Tell Marigold I said hi." She flinched. Just a fraction. Not even a blink. More like a single pixel in her expression glitched. But I caught it. I always catch it. The next morning, she made me pancakes. Let me explain something about Dana. She only made pancakes when she wanted to guilt-trip the universe into forgetting whatever mess she'd created. Like when she dented my truck and left it in the driveway for me to discover. Or when she forgot my birthday, but baked a whole cake shaped like my face. I ate exactly one bite, then left for work. Except I didn't go to work. I went to apartment 3B. It was a modest building with old red bricks and a buzzing front panel. I didn't buzz. I waited. And just when the door cracked open for a delivery guy, I slipped inside like regret through a memory. The hallway smelled like boiled cabbage and fabric softener. Apartment 3B had a floral doormat that said, "Hello, sunshine." Ironic, considering what lived behind it. I didn't knock. Not yet. I slid a tiny envelope under the door. Inside was a photo, Dana and me on our honeymoon, laughing on a beach in Santorini, and scribbled on the back, "Do you even remember who you were before Marigold?" Then I left. That night, she came home quiet. Phone in hand, thumb shaking. She set her purse down like it weighed 40 pounds. "Everything okay?" I asked, lounging in my chair like I didn't already know. She nodded. "Too fast. Just tired." I didn't push. Not yet. Then came the voicemail. Left on my office line, of all places. A voice, female, young, slightly nervous. Not Dana. "Hi, I don't know if this is weird, but You don't know me. My name's Renata. I think we need to talk about your wife. About Marigold. She? She's not who you think she is. Click. My heart didn't race. My breath didn't catch. Because finally, someone said it out loud. Next morning, I called the number back. Renata, I said. I'm listening. She sounded relieved and scared at the same time. I met her a few months ago. She said she was single, called herself Marigold, said her husband had died years ago in a car crash, that she was still grieving. She told me I reminded her of him, and then she kissed me. The world tilted. She's been living this double life, Renata continued. A fake name, fake story, even a job I don't think exists. And you? I think you're the husband who was supposed to be dead. I hung up. Not abruptly, not rudely, just decisively. Like someone who finally saw the last card in the deck. So now we weren't just in betrayal territory. We were in identity theft, emotional manipulation, and murder mystery night. Except the dead guy was me, and I was still very much alive. I didn't confront her. That's what she expected. Instead, I started packing, quietly, methodically. But not my stuff. Hers. There's an art to revenge. It's not in the shouting. Not in slamming doors or throwing plates. That's noise. That's theater. And Dana? She thrives in theater. No, revenge is precision. So I gave her exactly what she wanted. Peace. For 2 weeks straight, I smiled. I made coffee. I folded laundry. I listened to her stories with that same attentive look I wore the first year of our marriage. Back, when I still believed in her. I even complimented her hair. And during those 2 weeks, I packed. Not suitcases. Evidence. Bank statements. Hotel receipts. Duplicate credit card charges at flower shops and rooftop bars. I opened a burner email address and started getting statements from an account she didn't think I knew existed. It was under the name Dana Lynn Garvey. She hadn't used my last name in years. Which is fair, I guess. She wasn't really my wife anymore. Just a character pretending to be someone's wife until her next role opened up. I filed the divorce papers. Quietly. Pre-signed. Strategically timed. And on the morning of our anniversary, the one she forgot 3 years in a row, I left a single envelope on the kitchen table. Inside, a notarized copy of the divorce petition, an itemized spreadsheet titled Things You Lied About, a receipt for a storage unit in her name, already loaded with all her personal belongings. I packed every last pair of her shoes, every floral mug, every copy of those pretentious French novels she claimed to read but never touched. I even labeled the boxes. Seasonal lies, Christmas decor from the affair year. Vintage regrets, her wine collection. Marigold's greatest hits, journals, makeup, silk robes. I didn't yell. I didn't explain. I simply texted her. Your performance as my wife has concluded. You can collect your props at Unit 304. Door code is your favorite lie, 0912. She came home to an empty closet. The bed, remade, her side stripped. The kitchen echoing in a way that said, "You've been evicted emotionally. Now it's just logistics." She stood in the doorway for a long time. I sat on the porch, sipping coffee, waiting for the curtain to drop. "Thomas, what is this?" she asked finally. "This," I said, "is closure. You always wanted it on your terms. Now it's on mine." She stepped forward, eyes sharp. "You blindsided me." I nodded. "I know. I learned from the best." She exhaled through her nose, like someone who just found out the game was over, and she lost. "You're cruel," she whispered. "No," I said, standing. "You're just not used to being the one left." She didn't cry. She didn't apologize. Dana doesn't do that. But her hands trembled when she picked up the envelope. That was enough for me. Because here's the thing she never understood. The opposite of love isn't hate. It's indifference. And I had finally found it. There's a certain kind of silence that lives in a dinner party. Not the polite kind. Not the lull between courses. I'm talking about the kind where everyone's pretending they didn't see the explosion but can still smell the smoke. Ours was held at Gavin and Lila's place. Dana's old friends. People I tolerated because I had to. Gavin, with his overpriced scotch and minimalist furniture he couldn't shut up about. Lila, who used authentic like a seasoning and once called Dana a walking sunrise. Lila always struck me as the kind of woman who believed infidelity was just a spiritual reset. I got the invitation a week after Dana moved out. Gavin sent it like nothing had happened. "Hey man, Lila's doing her seasonal gathering. Small group. You and Dana should come." I waited 2 hours. then replied, "Sounds good. Just me." Dana's off finding herself. He heart reacted, like I'd sent him a meme. I arrived at 6:42 p.m. wearing the navy button-down Dana used to say made me look like a dependable politician. I brought a bottle of wine I'd been saving for our 10-year anniversary. Never got around to opening it. Seemed poetic. Lila greeted me with exaggerated surprise. "Thomas. Oh, wow, solo tonight." "Yeah." I smiled, handing her the bottle. "Dana's rehearsing for a new role." "Oh," she asked, blinking. "Yeah, it's called Emotionally Available. Still in previews." She didn't know what to say, so she hugged me, patted my back like I was a puppy who'd just been neutered. Inside, the guest list was a greatest hits album of our past. People who had sat at our dining table, toasted our milestones, borrowed our vacuum, cried on our couch. People who knew, or suspected, what Dana had been up to, and not one of them had said a word. I shook hands, smiled. Read the room. There was Amy, Dana's yoga buddy, who once accidentally FaceTimed her during a hotel stay in Denver. And Miles, her old co-worker, who had the social subtlety of a cymbal crash and once told me Dana really flourished at after-hours mixers. Each one of them looked at me like I'd just climbed out of a sinkhole with my dignity mostly intact. Dinner was served at 7:10 sharp. Coke au vin, which Lila introduced with all the pomp of a TED Talk. "I used free-range chicken because the energy is lighter," she said. I nodded. "I can taste the emotional availability." Some people chuckled. Most just looked down at their plates. 10 minutes in, someone finally asked, "So, how's Dana?" It came from Miles. Of course it did. I set my fork down slowly. Took a sip of wine. "Well, she's thriving. Got a new place downtown. New wardrobe. New name." A few eyebrows twitched. "She's going by Marigold now," I added. "Very floral. Very transient." Amy cleared her throat. "Oh, I think she mentioned that once. It's kind of a nickname, right?" I nodded. "Yeah. You tend to pick up pet names when you're living double lives." Silence. Tighter than overcooked pasta. Gavin tried to recover. "Well, I'm sure this is just a season for you both, right? Everyone goes through chapters." I tilted my head. "Right. Chapters. Some people start a new one. Others light the whole book on fire and blame the publisher." Amy visibly paled. Miles took a long drink. And that's when I pulled it out. A little manila envelope from my jacket pocket. Quietly slid it onto the table. "What's this?" Lila asked, forcing a smile. "Nothing major," I said. "Just a few postcards. Photos, really. From Dana's spiritual reset." I didn't open the envelope. I didn't have to, because Amy already knew what was in it. Miles did too. And judging by the way Lila's hand hovered over her glass like it might leap out and spill itself, she had her suspicions too. No one touched the envelope. I leaned back in my chair and smiled. "You know," I said, "when I first started noticing the signs, late nights, changed passwords, perfume that didn't smell like us, I thought, I must be paranoid." Lila mumbled something like, "Relationships are complicated." "They're not," I cut in. "Not when you're honest. But you all knew. Maybe not the details. Maybe not the hotel names, or the passwords, or the apartment leases. But you knew the energy changed. You felt it. And not one of you said a word. The silence was dense now, like velvet. Heavy. Suffocating. I stood up. "I'm not angry," I said, voice calm. "I'm grateful. Because now I know exactly where I stand with everyone in this room." I looked at Miles. "Thanks for the silence." "Amy, thanks for the FaceTime." "Gavin, thanks for the heart emoji." "Lila, and thank you for the emotional chicken." I picked up my wine glass, toasted them with a slight nod. Then, just before walking out the door, I turned back. "Oh, and one more thing," I said. "Dana didn't leave me." They blinked. "I left her. Months ago. She just didn't realize it until the moving truck showed up." Then I walked out, wine glass still in hand. Call it petty. I call it symbolic repossession of joy. You ever get a message so out of character, you have to check if the sender was kidnapped? 3 weeks after the dinner party, I got that text from Dana. "Can we talk? Just us. No drama. Please." Now, Dana doesn't please. Dana demands. Dana insists. She once returned a vacuum because the box used the word adequate. So seeing please from her, that was like a cobra sending you a Hallmark card. I didn't respond immediately. Instead, I waited a day, then another. Then, like any responsible adult, I updated my group chat. "Dana's doing her apology tour. Grab snacks." She showed up at my office 3 days later. unannounced. That part felt familiar. Dana had always treated boundaries like airport speed limits, suggestions that didn't apply to her. I saw her through the glass. White blouse, hair curled, makeup done like she was going on a daytime talk show to explain herself to the nation. When my assistant buzzed, I said, "Let her in." She walked in slow, like maybe if she moved delicately enough, it would reverse time. It didn't. "Thomas," she began. Not Tom. Not babe. Not that syrupy "my love" she used to weaponize when I caught her in a lie. Just Thomas. She sat across from me like a guest on divorce court. I wanted to explain everything. "You want closure," I said. She nodded. "Well," I gestured around my clean, minimalist office. "This is the land of closed doors." She tried the tears. Not full sobs. Dana's tears are designer, carefully rationed. Just enough moisture to suggest regret without messing up the mascara. "I wasn't happy," she said. "I felt invisible." I gave a polite nod. "That must have been hard, for Marigold." She winced at the name. "I didn't mean to lie," she said. "I just needed a separate life to match the story you told yourself." I finished. "One where you weren't the problem." She looked down. "And here's the thing. I didn't raise my voice. I didn't accuse. I just let her sit in the weight of her own words. That's how you dismantle a liar. You don't yell. You build a room out of their contradictions and let them live in it." Then she pivoted. "Of course she did. Dana never apologizes without an ulterior motive. That's not an apology, it's a prelude. I've been thinking about us." I tilted my head. "That sentence is missing a period." She took a breath. "Maybe we could start over. Try counseling. There's still something between us." "There is," I nodded. "It's called paperwork." And that's when she said it. The line I knew was coming the moment she texted me. "I made a mistake." That one. The classic. The eternal fallback of the caught and cornered. I leaned in slightly. "No, Dana. You made a series of decisions. That's the difference. Mistakes are what you call it when you drop your phone in the sink. You didn't slip and fall into a fake identity." Silence. Then, just to twist the knife, I added, "Also, you should know, Renata called." Said hi. Her mouth dropped slightly. "You talked to Renata?" "Talked? No. Listened? Yes. She's articulate. Honest. You should try it." She stood up, arms shaking just enough to register. "You're enjoying this," she said. "No," I said calmly. "I'm finally participating. Big difference." She grabbed her purse, fumbled for the door. "Oh, and Dana?" I said, just as she reached the hallway. She turned. "Barely. You're not sorry for what you did. You're sorry you ran out of people who'd let you do it again." Then she left. Quietly. No door slam. No final word. Just a woman walking away from the version of herself she couldn't gaslight anymore. Now, here's where it gets interesting. Over the next 2 weeks, I started getting messages. Not from Dana. She'd gone radio silent. But from people who'd known us. Friends. Acquaintances. Even her sister, Lindsay. "Hey, I don't want to get in the middle, but she's been reaching out. She told me she's really trying. Can we talk?" She said she regrets everything. She was doing rounds like a washed-up celebrity trying to get back on Dancing with the Stars. The apology tour had begun, so I leaned in. But not to rekindle anything. No, I decided to do what I should have done years ago. Tell the truth. Publicly. With receipts. One night, I posted a blog entry. No names. No locations. Just the story. Start to finish. Carefully written. Light on drama, heavy on facts. Annotated like a college essay. I called it, "How to Love a Woman Who Doesn't Exist." Within a day, it had 12,000 views. Then 50,000. Someone cross-posted it to a marriage support forum. Then Reddit. Messages poured in. "This was my life for 10 years. You described my ex with terrifying precision. Thank you." I thought I was crazy. 3 days later, Dana texted me again. "You need to take that post down." I didn't reply, so she tried again. "People are asking me questions. You're ruining my reputation." I finally responded. "I didn't ruin your reputation. You just finally stopped controlling the narrative." She stopped texting. But the damage, her damage, was already done. I didn't need revenge. I didn't need her to suffer. I just needed the truth to outlive the lie. And it did. Let's talk about Colin. Colin wore leather bracelets and posted motivational quotes in cursive fonts. The kind of man who ordered wine by its emotional profile and ended every sentence with "You feel me?" No, Colin, I don't. But bless your heart for trying. He was the one Dana accidentally tagged in a photo a month after our divorce was finalized. Caption: finally learning what real love looks like. I chuckled. Real love came with hashtags now. But I didn't respond. I didn't need to. Because 3 months later, I got a message from Colin. Hey man, this is awkward, but can I ask you something? Now, when your ex-wife's new boyfriend starts messaging you like he's asking for directions, it's never a good sign. For him, did she ever just kind of disappear for a few days and then act like you imagined it? I replied with a single word. Consistently. He followed up. And tell you you're too safe? That she misses the feeling of chaos. Ah, I said. She's in the self-actualizing tornado phase. Good luck. Colin didn't reply after that. But 2 weeks later, I noticed Dana's Instagram had no trace of him. All the couple photos were gone. Instead, she posted a new quote. I'm not broken. I'm evolving. Translation: I blew up another relationship and need a quote to make it sound noble. I poured myself a drink. To Colin: may his taste in women and fonts improve. I always liked Beverly. Dana's mother had the steel spine of a woman who'd lived through 3 husbands, 2 wars, and a daughter like Dana. She called me out of the blue. Thomas, she said, I just want to say, I'm sorry. I sat down. For what exactly? For not warning you, she said. When Dana brought you home the first time, I saw it. The ambition. The smile she puts on when she's working a room. I thought maybe you were the one who'd slow her down. I exhaled. Yeah, I thought that too. There was a pause. She tells everyone you were controlling, Beverly added. I laughed. I was boring, Bev. That was the real crime. You were consistent, she said. There's a difference. Before she hung up, she said something that stuck with me. She'll circle back when the world stops applauding. Spoiler: she did. It was autumn. The air was finally honest again, cool, dry, clear. I was sitting on the porch, reading a novel. One of those slow burn stories where every page is a quiet punch to the ribs. Fitting. That's when I saw her. Dana. Same hair. Same smirk. Different eyes. Eyes that didn't shine anymore. Eyes that scanned the porch like she was looking for an old version of me she thought she could wake up with a smile. She walked up slowly. No heels this time. Just sneakers. Real ones. I was in the neighborhood, she said. Of course you were. She hesitated, then asked, do you still think about me? I looked at her for a long beat. Not in ways that matter. She nodded. I just thought maybe. I know, I said. That was your specialty. I didn't invite her in. A few days later, I found a letter in my mailbox. No stamp. No address. Just my name on the envelope in her handwriting. I opened it. It was everything. A confession. A eulogy. A plea. She talked about how she missed the man who noticed when she changed her hair, how I made her tea when she was sick, how I folded the towels the wrong way but always did it anyway. She said I was the only man who ever stayed when she tried to push, and that she finally understood what she'd lost. She wrote that part twice. I never wrote back. I didn't need to, because closure isn't about responses. It's about no longer needing one. This is where most stories would end. Divorce. Apology. Reflection. Fade to black. But not mine. A year after the final signature dried, I got promoted. Moved cities. Changed scenery. Changed rhythm. I met someone too. Her name's Elise. She doesn't need fixing. She doesn't run from calm. She thinks quiet is sacred. Dana doesn't know about Elise. She never will. That's the point. One evening, Elise asked, do you think people can change? I said, only when they stop expecting applause for it. Sometimes people ask me if I miss Dana. I tell them, you can't miss someone who wasn't really there. Because Dana was a performance. Marigold was the costume. And me? I was the audience, until I realized I could walk out of the theater anytime I wanted. So I did. No curtain call. No standing ovation. Just the quiet sound of a man leaving behind the noise. And never looking back.